Let's go through this step by step. Trump 2.0. Some of his nominees for the cabinet running into some headwind, Arun. Some of them I like, Rubio. There are some others that I like the Commerce Secretary. So there are good candidates in there as well. But people like Pete Hegseth, who is still having issues, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Kristi Noem are controversial. Hi Arun, how are you doing? Welcome back from a long trip to India. Hopefully it was good in India.
Yeah, Sourin, good to see you. It was a great trip. I ended up being there for almost 2 months and enjoyed all over India. I had about, I would say, 30 stops in 56 days.
Wow.
So action-packed trip for sure.
Good. It's always fun to be in India. In the meantime, we had some excitement about the elections here in the US. Of course, you might have voted, absentee from India, and not to say your party won, Arun.
No, I did not get to vote, Sourin. I left way back early in September, so I had missed the window of voting for any candidate. So I did not get to vote, but I was keeping an eye on the election in the U.S. A lot of people in India, they were interested finding out, who's going to be winning. And, after Trump won, it was almost like 80, 90%. It felt like in India that he's become president of India. So jubilant over his victory.
So I put up the results on the screen. Practically a blowout kind of election, right? Practically Trump dominated in most of the blue walls that Biden had won in 2020, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, in addition to the regular red states, right? Like all the southern states that he won. And his vote share has increased across many of the demographics, across men, basically younger men, across Latinos, across black voters, which was surprising to see this election around.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere that out of 47, 48 out of 50 states, that his votes increased from last election. And a little side note for the Democrats, that all the states they won, except for Virginia, none of them require voter ID. I don't know what's in Michigan. Is it you need voter ID?
You need voter ID, of course. They check for some kind of documentation.
Yeah.
But what are you implying? That in Virginia, they might have cheated?
No, I did not say they cheated. I say it's interesting that Democrats are still hanging on to that. You don't need a ID to vote. I think it should be all uniform across the country. That if you need to vote, you need to have ID. Simple as that.
I agree. I completely agree with that. But then start it early enough, right? Like now Trump has won, so start this process. Because if you ask me for my birth certificate, right, and leave alone for the poorer people, even I may not be able to get my original birth certificate and documents in place. So all this takes time. So if they start it now, they may be able to get it by 2028. But they don't start soon enough. Only at the time of the elections, they start screaming about it.
Yeah, I think an entire process, Soren, needs a reform. I mean, look at it. This California is still counting. I think they need a, complete reform about the entire elections, how to vote and count, because all this paper versus electronic, I think it should be all uniform. And I won't hold my breath, let me put it this way, that they will come together and try to get it done before the next election.
Yeah, it needs an overall. I agree with you on that aspect. But coming back to the elections, Trump now has a trifecta. He has the White House, he has the Senate, and he has the Congress. So basically, he should be able to pass all of his policies that Trump promised the campaign. But it should be, at least in the first 2 years until the next midterm elections, the aim should be able to get a lot of his policies through.
I know, sir, and I know it's going to break your heart to find out that you're going to have him as a president for only 4 years.
It does. It does. As disappointed as I am, I've sadly accepted the fact the president is a president, right? It's a president for all of America, not just Republicans. So we'll see what we will run into the next 4 years. But talking about, let's go through this step by step, Trump 2.0. Some of his nominees for the cabinet running into some headwind, Arun. Some of them I like, Rubio. There are some others that I like the Commerce Secretary. So there are good candidates in there as well. But people like Pete Hegseth, who is still having issues, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Kristi Noem are controversial. What do you think about the 2.0 nominees that he's nominated?
Yeah, so if you look at his nominees, take a step back, they have two things in common. Most of them, if not all of them, they are famous. Most of them, they are on television. So if you look at the Trump's background, I mean, he came from television. First term, I think he went for the try to get the run of the mill. He was told you got to get this person, you got to get that person, and a veteran in the politics and the administration, and you know what happened with Comey's of the world, and he always butted heads. And I think this time he just wants to go with the people that he knows, that he thinks they would be loyal to him. That's how I see it, that he does not want to have a bunch of these leaks coming out of the White House. So all these nominees that I see, that he's got a direct relationship with them, and he feels comfortable that they won't throw him under the bus. In terms of the nominees, I like a lot of them. Sourin, obviously Matt Gaetz was a bad one, and Pete is another one that's running into issues. Obviously, he's got a lot of allegations personally, and I don't think he will get approved. That's just my guess. It might be done on purpose to even have the Democrats use up their bullets on these guys. Knowing Trump, I don't think he would, burn a lot of his political capital on Pete. So in a couple of days, I've been hearing names like Ron DeSantis, this, gal from Midwest, Senator Joni Ernest. Those are the two candidates. But I say let's just, get them through the process and vet them out. If they're qualified, bring them on. If they're not qualified, then obviously they don't need to be there.
Yeah, for some of these candidates, I have doubts about their competency, especially Pete Hegseth, who has never run a huge department, especially people like RFK Jr., who I don't know with his views, right? He's anti-vaxxer, and he doesn't believe in fluoride in the water, and he may cut funding to a lot of the departments, right? Especially National Institute of Health and CDC and research and things like that, which makes me worried if we were to face another pandemic. So I think they will run into strong opposition for Senate confirmation, and we'll see if they will go through. Even Tulsi Gabbard, for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think, she should go through. I mean, for crying out loud, Democrats had her on no-fly list. I mean, she's a veteran and Air Force. She served the U.S. Air Force, and then she was put on a no-fly list. It's just crazy. So we'll see. I think, sooner or later, all these people will get through. There might be some substitutes along the way, but that happens with every administration. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll know in a few weeks' time if they're going to be confirmed or not. But what I'm most excited about this administration is the new department that is outside the government that Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk have formed, called DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. So even if nothing good comes out of it, even if they can save a few, billions for the government, because all of us know that the government is completely inefficient. The US government is not completely inefficient, that's a wrong choice of word, but there is a lot of bloating in the government. There is a lot of spend that is not required. And Elon Musk, if there is any person who can do it, it's him, is look at some of the departments and cut some of the fat around the spending of this department. What do you think about that, Arun?
Yeah, so finally we get a 4-letter government agency. All the 3 letters are not doing so good. IMF and UNO and FBI, CIA, the list is long, right? So let's see, what happens with this. I like the fact that they've got some aggressive folks coming and looking at it. Vivek has got a lot of money, and Elon has all the money. Something needs to happen, Sourin. I mean, I was looking at that the Department of Defense, they have not passed their financial audit for the last 7 years.
True.
And the chief that said that if they get their act together, they might pass in 2028. That is just unbelievable that you've got a department with the $4.1 trillion in asset and $4.3 trillion in liabilities, and they cannot add the numbers. There's definitely a lot of fat out there. I mean, all these IMF loans, they're going to all these countries with God knows who gets what. I mean, look at a country like Pakistan, 23 IMF loans, bailouts, and none of that money is going to the public. You know that. It's money is going to the generals and the elites of Pakistan. So there's a lot that needs to be cut. I also saw that a lot of agencies have been handing out money, hand over fist since Trump came in the office. I mean, look at the Ukraine thing. We have already given them $300 billion, and Biden just gave them another $70 billion. all the other agency like Go Green projects, they're just handing out dollars left and right. They want to make sure they spend it all before Trump gets in the office. So this is insane, man. Somebody's got to take a look at it. Those guys, Elon and Vivek, hopefully they get something out of this. I'm not sure how much, because by taking all these big cuts, or it's going to be disruptive. So are they going to disrupt the service or just the finances? That remains to be seen. But I think they will shake it up, and they'll blow torch it, and a lot of things going to change. And and I know there's a lot of waste and out there. It's not a revolutionary idea. A lot of people talk about it, a lot of candidates, but nobody actually does it. Once they get to White House, they all become part of the system. I'm hoping they do something, because government spending is totally out of control.
Not only just the spending, but there is a lot of fraud that's going on as well in
Yeah.
departments under CMS, Medicaid, Medicare, right? People, Medicaid, people who are coming, refugees who come in, basically they get everything on Medicaid, even from cough drops to contraceptives. And these are people who have gas stations, right? And they are driving BMWs, they are driving, Mercedes, and they come in and they get pretty much all their medications, because they are on Medicaid. They have family of 7, 8, 9, and they're just ripping off taxes that we pay, Arun. And this is a fact. We have known stories about this. You must have heard stories about this, and this is just rampant. So hopefully things like that will be clamped down with this new Department of Government Efficiency coming in.
Looking at some stats that last year with the illegal immigration, U.S. spent $150 billion. And then you were in the mountains past summer. We have this hurricane in North Carolina. It's devastating. I mean, the whole area is wiped out. They're not getting any, it took them 52 days to get water going, and FEMA is not paying attention. So here we have people at homeless, and we're sending money to all over the world, and paying for. You saw that about the this Roosevelt Hotel, which is pretty interesting. That New York City signed up a $220 million deal with Pakistan Airlines building owned to house the refugees for 3 years. It's just insane that what's going on in this country. So yeah, I mean, North Carolina needs help, but they cannot get any money. But we're spending money left and right for all the wrong places. So definitely these guys will be going after hard to get some monies out. So the downside is some of the people may lose jobs, and sometimes it's needed to right size, sometimes it gets too aggressive. So that's only one thing I worry about, that it does not shake up all the employment. But absolutely there's a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse with the government.
Yeah, I agree. There is a lot of bloat anyway. So it's about time, right? Somebody takes a torch to this and reduces the size of government waste. Let's move on to the FBI, the Department of Justice, right? Trump has long complained that it is, partisan and it is biased. And Biden has only helped his cause with this latest pardon of his son, which is just ridiculous,
Are you surprised to see that, Sourin?
What did he say? He was running for the soul of the country. Frickin', this is the soul of the country that he's running for, where he, pardons his own relatives. It is just humiliating, right? I mean, don't cite morality, don't cite, soul of the country and nonsense like that when you are, looking after your own people at the end of the day. So I'm so pissed off by that, right? So might as well get in somebody like a Trump who says what he's going to do, and at least he's open about it, rather than spouting such bullshit and then doing exactly the opposite.
All pardon thing was pre-planned. I mean, if you think about it, the guy pleaded guilty on all 9 counts. And so he knew that if he pleaded guilty, this will expedite the case. Then there'll be, the handout of the whatever the downside, the jail sentencing would come out. So he kind of fast processed that, making sure his dad in the office. And Biden was hoping Kamala would be there so she can pardon him, but that did not happen. If you look at it, Biden actually pardoned himself, because he broadened the scope to 2014 January, 2014 April. This is when Hunter came on the board of Burisma, that energy company in Ukraine. That's where all the traffic was, all the allegations of Biden and his brother getting the money. So I think Biden took it back to January 2014 because he just wants to kill that trail. Otherwise, Biden would have been indicted himself with all the charges. So, and this is where it kind of leads to the, Kash Patel from the FBI guy. I'm sure he would have gone after that. hard. But now Biden just preempted that by, taking 2014 January. There's nothing they could do. As we all know, Biden was selling access. But I also think that he's not done with pardoning. I suspect he would probably put Fauci on that list too. That's my guess, that before he leaves. So he's not done with that. But this whole pardon thing was embarrassing. This Kash Patel guy, what I don't like, Sourin, as much as, I would like for him to go shake things up. You don't want to go on record for things like that. They're just coming to chase down things. But who knows? Trump's got nothing to lose. He's leaving after this term. So he may just go try to light all this up and see what happens. So I don't think he's concerned about the fallout.
Yeah, but going after political enemies, then we become another banana republic.
I don't think, if you look at the 2016 elections, during the campaign, he kept saying, with chanting with the Hillary Clinton, lock her up, crooked Hillary, but he did not go after her.
No, he did. He tried to. His Bill Barr, Sessions, he wanted Sessions to go after Hillary Clinton. He said, I didn't have any concrete proof. So he fired Sessions, basically. And then Bill Barr took over. He was pressurizing Bill Barr. He's written that in his book. And he said, we don't have any concrete proof either. And Trump was not too happy with that. So basically, he wanted to go after Hillary Clinton and jail her as well. So it's on record. Basically, Bill Barr himself said that he wanted to do that. And now in 2.0, Kash Patel, there is no say. He might go after media as well. If we clamp down free speech, that's it. End of story. We don't have anything because this country is founded on free speech. And if they start going after that, then pretty much turns into a dictatorship.
Yeah, the free speech, same speech that during the election, the Facebook and Google, everybody took down Trump right before the election. This is just, it's tit for tat. I hope it does not get personal. I do support that some of the departments that needs to be looked at it, how things are changing with the social media influence. Those systems the departments need to be looked at it. Inner workings. I hope it doesn't become personal because I agree with you. We don't want tit for tat and just keep going back and forth. Otherwise, this won't be a democratic country anymore. So I
exactly.
agree. Yeah.
Exactly. We don't want personal retribution, right? We don't want people from Fox News to be jailed. At the same time, we don't want people from CNN and MSNBC or even Alex Jones to be jailed just because they are saying things that we don't agree with, right? It's okay to say this nonsense or even oppose people that are in power, but you can't be jailed because of that, whichever party they belong to.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that one.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about tariffs, Arun. I have never thought tariffs were a good idea, but now Trump is he's saber rattling 100% tariffs on Mexico, Canada, China, which caused Trudeau to come down, shaking to Mar-a-Lago and negotiate some deals. So China has already, promised to retaliate. They've stopped export. So I think this is going to cascade into an all-out trade war. But how do you think the tariff war going to shake out? Do you think it'll be good, bad for the economy in the next 4 years?
Yeah, so if you look at Trump, he's all about the deals, right? So as much as he wants to talk about the bunch of other things, that's what the guy lives and breathes all day is deals. So this tariff on Canada and Mexico, I think it's a ploy to get them on the table to start talking about the border issues. I heard in Canada last year they had let 33,000 illegal immigrants. That was total rolled back 17 years in the past. That was 30,000 was less than 17 years. But last year alone, they equaled that number. So that's why to get their attention. I don't think it'd be 25% on 20th, but definitely I see Canada will take measures to get the border secure. Elections are coming up. That's why Trudeau came down, because he does not want to, rock the boat, which on a side note, I don't think Trudeau's going to win this time. He won't get reelected because he's got his bunch of other issues. That was pretty funny when Trump said, if they can't afford, if they get impacted by the tariffs too much, maybe Canada should become the 51st state with Trudeau as their governors. But
no, Trudeau's not winning. He's not winning next year, for sure.
So on the south border with Mexico, I know the Prime Minister is screaming loudly about the tariffs, and that's much bigger problem to fix. I also think, Soren, that they would be raiding Mexico. I just get the feeling that U.S. Army is going into Mexico after these drug cartels, because I don't think the Mexican prime minister can do anything. All the cartels control that country. So as much as he wants to put the tariff on them, I see likelihood of some form of invasion by U.S. into Mexico and try to go take the bull by the horn. So that's what I think is going to happen in Mexico. Coming over to China, other places. This is all ploy to have people start talking. And I mean, the good news is there's a lot of discussions going on. The guy's not even in the office yet. And we're talking about different things every day. When Biden was in the office, nobody even knew that if he was in the Oval Office. I think only two types of people knew, saw him. One was probably his, physicians, and second were probably his vacation planners, because the guy was never to be seen. So Trump is not in the office, but he's acting like it. I mean, he was invited to Notre Dame in France on 7th, I believe, and Trudeau's coming to see him. So there's a lot of shakeup going on. I do not think, Soren, that these tariffs would be going in effect. They might go in effect initially, but will be taken out. But I think it's a way to have start a dialogue and start negotiating the deals for U.S.
Well, if they do go in place, then the price of eggs and bread are not going to come down anytime soon for the common man. So
the last thing what Trump would want to do is raise the price, because he came on that mandate. So
yeah.
He won't let that happen. The price is not going to go up. I just think he's going to negotiate hard with these guys, and there'll be some concessions coming out. But these numbers, 25%, 100%. I mean, he's even threatening the BRICS folks for the 100% if they try to come up with their own currency. So
yeah,
this guy's shaking up everything. I just don't see this taking an effect. If it goes in effect, I'd be surprised. But I also think it would be short-lived.
We'll see. The real report card will be at the midterm elections 2 years from 25 in 27. So that's when, people will give that verdict again. But we'll have many more podcasts between now and then, and we'll continue to monitor the situation. So we'll move on to immigration. Trump has promised deportation on day one, and I agree with that. And I've said this in our earlier podcast, also in my blog. Immigration is a problem that Biden administration took their eyes out of, from, and Trump is going to go aggressive after illegal immigrants. So that will be a good thing, and with Stephen Miller in there as Deputy Chief of Staff, they will take some tough measures. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say to start out with criminals. I read somewhere, Soren, that New York has 50,000 illegal immigrants with criminal background. That's just one city. They're all over. I mean, we get all these video footage by all these guys committing crimes out there. So I would start out with the criminals. And I don't know how realistic is this mass deportation, or I don't know how does that look like. I mean, is there going to be another separate task force, or who's going to do that? Is it going to be the cops? Is it going to be the National Guard, Army? I don't know all that, how that's going to all happen. But I think there's a lot to it versus just saying that we will deport them illegally the day one. But definitely, I think they should start going after all these illegals. And you catch them, you just drop them out on the other side of the border. That should be the step one that I would be doing. And then shut down the border. It remains to be seen how aggressive they would be with the mass deportation. I'm not sure what does that look like, Soren, but definitely I think they should start taking stern measure against all these criminals that are in the country right now.
I have not seen a plan. I'm most interested once Trump takes office. I'm most interested in seeing this immigration plan. And, I don't know if you were aware, there are a lot of immigrants from India as well, from Haryana, Gujarat, right? Record numbers. And I don't know why people from Punjab.
I was in India, but, I was talking to a lot of people. There was this plan. It was 50 lakh rupees. And you could spend 50 lakhs starting from Punjab and all those areas. Then they make all these, establish the routes from there. And they're coming in through Canada, through Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
So there was the whole handoff, all these immigrants from country to country, and they were just coming up from Mexico. And I was talking to someone that this guy is a cab driver. He said, he got all the way up to Mexico, and he could not cross over from there. So he came back, and he was saying he will go back again sometime. But it was, I talked to a lot of people. It was going on that 40, 50 lakh rupees, which is roughly, 75, 80,000 US dollars. That was the going rate for somebody to come into this country.
Wow. I was not aware that Indians, resorted to illegal migration in such large numbers. So it'll be interesting. But lastly, we'll come to the two big major wars in the Middle East, in Gaza and Russia, and how Trump is going to go after that. He promised to end it on day one of his, or pretty soon as he becomes the president. So you think he'll bring that to closure? We'll have to recap that quickly because we've taken a lot of time.
Get it all done 24 hours after he takes the office. But I heard that he has already started sending delegation to start a dialogue with the Israelis and the Lebanese and the all the Hamas folks. So there's already few things in the motion. Everybody, and if you look at from the Ukraine side, Zelensky and all the Lebanese, Hamas, all of a sudden all these dictators and terrorist group, everybody wants to be a peace ambassador. All of a sudden, they're talking about let's just cut a deal. And like I said, Trump likes to cut a deal. Something will happen. I just don't think that this war will continue. I'm very hopeful. This stops. The hostages, he has sent out a tweet that he wants them to get them back by January 20th, and that's shades of Ronald Reagan when Carter was leaving. So I hope they return the hostage. Otherwise, he's got to double down. But to the Ukraine war, Hamas, Israel war, I don't think they would be escalating anymore. So he's going to have some influence. But what's interesting is, sorry, I don't know if you keep in tab on that, what's going on in Syria. All of a sudden, the people have woken up there last 7 days, all the rebels. And that's very interesting because all the big guys are coming to play in Syria again. The ISIS folks, the Turkish folks, the America's interest, Western interest, the Russians are coming to play there. I've even heard that Russia is low on ammunition, so China might be funding some ammunition. So all of a sudden, becomes very interesting. Why would Biden support all this? I mean, he's leaving. It just almost feels like, they want to just go instigate, give Trump some shit sandwich because that just came out of nowhere. I just don't think this is accidental. I think somebody's planning to just stir the pot, and when he comes to the office, he's got a lot more to deal with than just what he's talking about right now. So the whole Syrian thing is very interesting to watch what has taken place in 7-8 days.
We'll see. Still a month to go till inauguration day. So we'll see how the developments, Trump has given an ultimatum to Hamas as well to release the hostages. Zelensky now says that he's willing to negotiate a deal with Russia, which is interesting as well. So we'll see what comes out over the next 20-25 days. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll continue our podcast, right, as we get more into the Trump administration. Interestingly, the second India-Australia test match starts tonight in Adelaide. So we'll cover that in our upcoming podcast as well. So stay tuned for that, Arun.
Hey, Sourin, feel better, my friend, and good to see you after a long time. And let's get back on our next podcast. We'll talk about the cricket, Australia and India.
Absolutely.
We haven't discussed sports in a long time. Let's get back to talking cricket. Please subscribe to our channel, leave a comment, hit a like if you like our show, and see you guys all next time.
Thank you. Yeah, please like, share, and comment on our show. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day, good evening, good night.